Hi guys, welcome. Oh, I'm actually live. Didn't realize. I wonder if anyone's there because I didn't schedule this live. This is a very impromptu live, meaning no one had the chance to see. I'll wait for 5 minutes. If no one's there, I'll just awkwardly leave. Oh, interesting. I just gotta back to my live screen. Anybody there? I think I should have scheduled. Would have made more sense. Oh, at least my sister's here. Hi. So Chinju, the issue was this is my first live where I didn't schedule it. It's been 2 minutes and predictably no one's turned up. I'm just gonna wait 5 minutes and see if people come. And if not, I'll just leave. If anyone's there, actually one thing we could do is we could make it a live between me and Natara Jacob, who is my sister. I was actually going to talk about side projects and managing a side project and a day job in this life. And yeah, because that's been my recent experience and what's on the top of my mind. You're saying I'll call your fans. Not fans. Fellow travelers. You should call my fellow travelers. Do you have their numbers? Do, 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 do. You know what? I'll try one thing. I'll try like starting the presentation and then see if people just join in. And I'll just cut out this bit in the final editing. So, in this video, what I was gonna do was talk about managing a side project and a full-time job. Currently, I've got a full-time job. Fake it till you make it, that's it. So currently I've got a full-time job and I've got 2 side projects that I work on. And the schedule that this is so awkward, but who cares? Feels like I'm talking to myself. Currently I've got 2 side projects and 1 full-time job. And the main side project is of course the YouTube channel, creating content around it. The second side project, which is kind of sprang from this YouTube channel, is the Apple AR online course that I'm building. That is going really well. And the way I manage it in a nutshell is wake up at 5, spend the first 2 hours of the day fresh and awake on the side projects, give the best time of my day to that, and go energy filled to the day job, and then in the evening come back, go to the gym, refresh, and then do it again. That's in a nutshell. But before going to the details, and if I go to the details, I just want people to join. Are you still there, Nitara? By the way, some private details, Ginger. I've got a. I got this yesterday. Taking notes. So, what's the note that you. Hi, Links Productive. I remember you. Yes. Welcome. We were waiting for at least one person and my sister to start this. So, I think since Links, you're here, I think we can just get started. I was thinking of making this live stream again, as usual, very casual, because I didn't have much time to produce videos because of the online course I'm building. And just to put a theme out there, I thought it would be interesting to talk about side projects and managing a day job at the same time. And currently, my side project is building the Apple AR course and creating content around YouTube. So those are the two ones I have, but I implore you to jump into the conversation and get it going. So I put out the theme there, managing a side project and a day job, and let's talk around that. And we could. Oh, I knew this question was going to come up. Apple WWDC thoughts on AR VR. Yeah, to be blunt, yeah, this is going away from the topic, but doesn't matter. Let's talk about this. Apple WWDC 2022. I can describe to you the week, right? It was Monday morning. I was super excited. I couldn't I was on my job, but my mind was fully on WWDC 2022. I was super excited, and to be blunt, I am not that satisfied with the result. So I wasn't expecting them to announce the hardware, the glasses, but I was at least expecting them to make significant software upgrades to Reality Kit and AR Kit. They did make some upgrades, but it's not any step changes. And to put it in a nutshell, yeah, I was disappointed, but for me, I see it as two ways, right? It could be two things. Number one, they are really doing a bad job, which is quite unlikely given all the other stuff that's happening around, which I could go later on. Number two, which I think is more likely, is that what they're doing is they're literally saving the best for the last. For example, if they may, I don't think they want the our Reality OS and all that stuff that they're building around it just as like a sideline to the WWDC event. Maybe they create a dedicated event for that itself towards the end of the year. But I'm sure there is something coming. It's just the question is like when. But to answer your question, WWDC 2022, nothing major happened. So no news that you need to get excited about, no major upgrades. And my feeling in a nutshell is that they're saving the best for the last. So they might announce the software system first, January or next year or sometime, and then will come the hardware announcement. It will go to the developers, and then eventually to the public. So that's the timeline that I expect. And one thing that really gets my hopes up is the fact that they actually download the device to the board, and usually in their past they've done this when the hardware is close to production. So that's one interesting thing that came up. But yeah, that's WWDC 2022. My thoughts on that. How about yours? Do you have any? Did you watch the show? Do you have any thoughts on that, Prince? Meanwhile, anyone else who's in the chat, anyone else who's watching, do pop up in the chat and put out some thoughts so we could keep this thing going. I wanted to make this about, I mean, we can talk about AR as well, but I was initially going to talk about managing side projects and day jobs. But again, I know people want to talk about AR. Okay, we'll stick to AR. So Eric says, Eric, you're new. Hi. Welcome. And you're saying the good news is newbie AR developers still have time to learn, lol. That is true. That is true. And that is the positive side of it. And Apple's history, right? How they really wait before they're usually very late to technology trends. Like smartphone, it was like 4 or 5 years later than the entire industry that they introduced the iPhone. It was, remember the BlackBerry era? It was all Blackberries and all that. So Apple has a tradition of going late and getting it perfect. So that's good news, like you said, for developers, because it gives you more time to prepare. Because what you don't want to do is miss out on the wave when it comes, and the wave will come rushing hard and fast, and you want to be prepared for that. So personally, on a selfish note speaking as well, it was actually good news for me too. And that's because, as you all may know, I'm building an Apple AR course. And what I kind of hoped was not going to happen was entirely new feature sets introduced to Reality Kit, or an entirely new software paradigm, which is very unlikely. And that would essentially mean I have to restructure the course. So yeah, that's just a selfish reason to be happy as well. But yeah, you're right, Eric. Good news for developers. We have more time to prepare. And I just want to make it clear that in no way that this is not the end, or this is not any discouraging news. It's just a small pivot. That's all. Like I'm still going hard on it. In fact, I bought a new MacBook yesterday so that I could speed up my development times and my video editing times and my course creation times. So, yeah, the race is still on. Developers, it's time to prepare. Welcome to the live, Eric. It was good to have you here for the first time. Prince is saying, like the room plan API from Apple, good for real estate applications. Yeah, that was interesting. So the room plan API was essentially a native API that Apple's providing, where you could scan your rooms. And if you see the demo, it's pretty impressive. It's very quick, fast, and it seems to be very accurate. I personally haven't tried it. Have you tried it? And I mean, if you, like you're saying, if you want to build for real estate applications, I mean, this is like gold. You can imagine like a very quick idea. Obviously, it's very obvious one as well. You know, remote viewing and all that. But yeah, the room plan API was a good one. Also, they did make a few upgrades to ARKit, like a very minor ones. I mean, there's some good ones, but some minor ones include for face tracking. Now you can detect the ears as well. Before it was just the face and eyes and the nose too. So that was good, and a few other tweaks here and there. No, nothing to Reality Kit itself, but to ARKit there were a few upgrades, like the room plan API. Reality Kit and Reality Composer, nothing. And I have a feeling also they might introduce, there's a rumors around the Reality operating system. So I'm waiting for a move where they integrate all this into one. I've heard that they might also introduce a Swift UI equivalent for Reality Kit. So for building AR UI, that would be very, very useful if you could declaratively program AR user interfaces, because as we all know, user interface and user experience in AR and VR 3D is a whole challenge in itself. And if Apple has abstracted away a lot of the complexities there, that would be super useful. So that's one thing. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to be a feature, but that's one thing. If they actually do it, will be super, super good. Yeah. What was I thinking? On a side note, I was thinking also one other. I saw this on a tweet by Oscar. If you follow him, he's a DevRel evangelist in Snapchat. It's interesting some of the integration frameworks that's coming up. For example, yeah, if you all know Snapchat with a Lens Studio app is pretty far ahead. They have pretty good like dev capabilities there, and they're introducing a framework. I think it's coming soon where you could actually integrate it into native Apple code, meaning you could call the Snap frameworks from your Swift code. That would be pretty interesting as well, because you can leverage all the advancements in Lens Studio to do stuff in Swift. But apart from AR for Apple WWDC, there was some, okay. This is actually relevant for AR too, to be honest. Swift UI has some major improvements. So Swift UI is something I'm looking forward to trying, the new one. Swift Shards was a pretty cool one. And they got the circle layouts now. So before it was horizontal, vertical layouts. You could only stack up horizontally or vertically, but now there's circle. even custom layouts. So SwiftUI is getting pretty, and it's pretty clear that SwiftUI is the future. We're moving away from the UI kit era and into SwiftUI land, declarative reactive frameworks. Even in Android, there's the Jetpack Compose now. So this trend seems to be the future of building UI. So Nitar Jacobs asking, how do you know how to prioritize your time? That's a question I wanted to answer for this video. So for me, I wanted to, because this is pretty close to my heart lately, because I've been working a full-time job for the past couple of months, and I've had to essentially balance my side projects, which is at the moment creating content for the YouTube channel and creating an Apple AR course, which is taking up a lot of time and effort, which is why my content creation's kind of getting slower these days. But these two side projects I have to balance in the middle of whilst I'm doing a full-time software engineering job. And the way I do it is I essentially spend the first I wake up at 5 and spend the first 2 hours, so I wake up at 5:30, spend an hour energizing myself. For me personally, that's like visualizing or just sitting in silence and thinking about stuff. That's a very energizing thing for me. And after that first sort of energizing, I've got my first best 2 hours of the day, which is 6:30 to 7:30, 8:30. Those 2 hours, the best time where I have full energy, mentally sharp and everything, I invest it into my side projects. Because side projects I see something that has very high potential for returns, and it grows your skills rapidly as well, which is relevant for the job. But it is kind of like this golden goose or small egg that you have to water, and you want to water it when you're fresh, energized, and intellectually sharp. So I've given the best part of my day to the side project. And interestingly enough, what I notice is that after you do that, so on the days when I actually do this, and then I spend an hour doing some random stuff, breakfast, all that stuff, and then I go to my job 10 to 6, I'm actually way more energized when I've completed my side projects. And I think it's something to do with, having done stuff you've cared about, you feel more energized and you're actually way more productive at your job. And days when I don't do it, you feel the opposite. You feel like the job is dull, it's kind of meaningless, what do you want to do? Stuff like that. So side projects, in a very strange way for me, I feel like it's a very energizing thing. People think it is tiring, it's impossible to manage with your day job. But I actually think the opposite. It is tiring, but in a very different way, a very different angle. It's also very energizing. So that's how I prioritize my side project time. I give the first few hours on that, and then I do go 10 to 6, and in the evenings I go to the gym and then come back, and maybe from 8 to 10 I have some more energy. So I spend some time on content creation, which is my other side project. So that's how my schedule looks like these days. Tiring, but energizing. So, Prince, you're asking, should side projects be open sourced? I would say it depends. It depends on who you are and what your goals are. If you are, a lot of programmers are like this, if you are about, exploring your curiosity and creating a community and or even building a portfolio or anything, then if you're like very, very altruistic, then yeah, I think obviously side projects should be open sourced. I mean, I don't like the word should. It's like, what do you want to do with your side projects? If you're creating a side project to make it open sourced and have a far wider reach, make it into a library that a lot of people could use, then obviously open source. But if you're creating a side projects for different goals, for me personally, very honestly, my goal is to get me to a stage where I could buy back my own time and not only buy back my own time and eventually build up companies that I care about. So for my side projects, the goal is creating content that both impacts, that's outward focusing, but also inward focusing. I will also have a selfish reason, which is to get financially free. And I'm very open about that in my channel. I never hide that. In fact, I have an entire video on that. So for me, my goal is financial freedom. I want time freedom, and for time freedom, you need money. And to get money, you need to create value. And when you create value in the form of a digitized product that lives outside of your time, that's beautiful because it has unlimited scaling potential. And that is my motivation with side projects. But to your question, should side projects be open sourced? I would say, um, if you want, yeah, obviously you should, but there's no should here. It's all depends on your personal goals, values, and your vision. I do know a lot of programmers who will open source everything they do, and when they actually do it out of their own will, and huge respect for them. That's what they want to do. They should do that. Do you have a background in iOS Swift development before you started with AR for Apple? No, Appleware. Oh, you know that Philip. Oh, welcome, Philip. By the way, you're someone new as well. Talking to you for the first time. Welcome. And I don't have no. I didn't have any background in iOS or Swift development. Neither I had AR experience when I started my journey. And it's interesting you asked this now because just before shooting this live, I actually shot a video, kind of talking about this. So that's going to come out soon. But my background was I was doing a PhD, and for my PhD, I used software like MATLAB. I did some Android studios, so some Android dev work. But when you in the research environment, you don't become a great programmer. You become a great researcher. Researchers are not great programmers, in my opinion, because the focus is on novelty, creating new solutions, inventing new paradigms, and you don't really focus on software. So the kind of MATLAB code or the Android dev code that I wrote were very basic or very like hackery. So that was the background that I came from. And that's when I realized like if I really wanted to get into the software world, I need to know the fundamentals of programming. And that's when I first started learning. I first learned iOS and Swift through Angela Yu's course. And once I felt comfortable with the fundamentals, building apps on my own, using my own creative freedom, then I took on the AR side of things because AR is a layer on top of that, obviously. And then eventually I started taking freelance clients and part-time jobs and all using all that portfolio. I got a software engineer job. That's how I made my transition, and that was my background. Uh, yeah, yeah. So in a nutshell, nope. I didn't have a background in either iOS or Swift. That came first, and the AR came after. Yep. I noticed there was a drop in viewership the moment I mentioned uh, my my goals, which is financial freedom and the open source question. And to be honest, like I face this a lot in especially in the programmer community. It's such a taboo thing when you talk about money or financial freedom or doing anything that's not open source. And it's just because cultural, right? It's the dev culture, even since the first beginnings of the like from the late 80s, when during the whole PC revolution times, they had a strong aversion to anything that's commercialized. They always want open source, decentralized, that kind of stuff. And I'm of the opinion that I'm personally of the opinion that to scale things fast, beautifully, and effectively, you need capital. And to get capital, you need to commercialize things. And you need to think about business. So I'm more tag along the side of become rich first, then become a philosopher side of things. Do not become a philosopher first, then get rich, because philosophers can't really have big scaled impact because money rules the world, like it or not. So yeah, sometimes people don't like that, but I'm always one of the values I hold dear in my life is being true to who you are and your thoughts. So I will always be honest with my thoughts, even if people don't like it. Anyways, diversion there. Uh, anyone, any other thoughts or ideas we want to talk about? Or I always enjoy awkward silences too. If not, I'm gonna put out something. Do you guys have any side projects or any stuff that you do on the side outside of your work? I'm assuming some of your students, some of you work, I assume. And either whether you're a student or a worker, do you have any side projects that you are doing or you would like to do in the future? So I got the message from Eric. You're saying, I agree with your philosophy. I have a similar goal. I want to enter the space for financial freedom first and foremost. High five. uh, yes, I do strongly believe that too. There's nothing to be. We don't need to be ashamed of that goal. That's a very good goal. We should never be uh, averse to that. That said, I also want to emphasize that it's not like all money, 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 money for a reason. Like for me, I care about money a lot, not because I want to buy fancy stuff or stuff. Like the biggest proof is my room, right? Like check my room out. It's a very small cubicle that I still live in, and I could easily afford a flat. Trust me, I could. I've got a good salary now, and I could easily afford a flat. I could easily afford an upgrade. The reason why I didn't do it is because my philosophy is I only invest money to into things that will yield a return or an impact. If you watch the video I made on my financial freedom goals, the reason why I want £100 million in 10 years' time is not because I want to spend it all on pleasure. I'll spend some on pleasure, but not all, because you just can't spend all that on pleasure, even if you live 10 lifetimes. But I want that money because I want to be in a position in my 40s where I could start building companies and ideas out without restraint. If I have an idea about a mental health app that I care about and I believe really would really create impact, number one, if I'm a day job worker and stuff, I would have to go to the route of finding investors and convincing them and wooing them and all that stuff. But if I have my own capital, it could be like Elon Musk, just throw money at the thing, hire a few people, build the thing out, and actually make it happen. I find that very exciting. So, like you said, financial freedom, I see that in two levels. One is on a personal level, buying back your own time so that you have your own time to do whatever you want. That's important. That's the basic one. And number two is on a different level. If you want to think bigger and build stuff that will leave a legacy, you need money for that too. So that's why I think, and obviously, money, you want to have, enjoy the good things in life too. There's nothing wrong with that too. So, in all cases, we should not be ashamed of money. Money, 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 money. uh, yes, so high five, Eric. So, Subodh Gimre, you're saying, which 3D engine do you think Apple will lean on in its future headset? Or do you think make its own? What are your thoughts? Which 3D engine do you think Apple will lean on for its future? Currently, the route they're taking is, again, welcome, Subodh. A lot of new people in this time. Welcome to this community. And in regards to your question, which 3D engine do you think Apple will lean on? Well, currently the obvious one, which they have made it officially known as well, is RealityKit. RealityKit is the 3D engine that Apple's building to render the AR world. ARKit is the technology that they're using to track the real world and get all the camera feed and all that computer vision stuff. But RealityKit is the straightforward answer to that. That's the engine that they're building up. It's very basic compared to Unity or Unreal. It's very, very much in its primitive stage, but it's very likely that's what they're building and trying to mature, and that's what they'll build things on top of. But aside from RealityKit, they're also creating add-on tools like Reality Composer, which is a no-code tool to create AR experience, and it integrates nicely with Xcode and RealityKit itself. So Reality Composer and RealityKit is the one that they've made obvious now. And whether they will acquire other companies or stuff to essentially fast track this, who knows? I have a small gut feeling, no rumors or no official hints to this yet, but it might make sense for them to actually buy or acquire companies like Unity or Unreal. I'm sure they have the capital, and as a merger, it makes complete sense to me, because Unity has years and years of equity in it and features in it, and it's a very mature platform. Why does not Apple just acquire it and build on top of that? Who knows? Nobody knows the answer, but at this point in time, it's RealityKit and Reality Composer. That's the answer. If you want to prepare for Apple and go native, those are the two RealityKit is the game engine you should focus on. And to use RealityKit, obviously, you would need to know Swift and iOS dev, which is the reason why I took up a software engineering job focusing on iOS, because this is the route that I'm going towards. Yeah, I'm just a big Apple boy. So, Eric, again, you're saying, what practices do you use to stay? I like this live stream. It's a mix of AR. Usually it's all AR, but this is a mix of AR and other stuff as well, because AR has a lot of things that enable it, right? When I say AR, I mean our AR journeys. So you're saying, what practices do you use to stay motivated and focused when you have such a grand goal and ambition? Oh, I love that question. I'm gonna give you two answers. I'm gonna give you one like dead practical that you could implement, that I implement day to day, and you could too. And number two, on a more higher level, which is also important because it kind of roots your internal world. I'll start with the higher level one, right? The higher level one, the main thing I see is the concept of purpose and meaning. Like I cannot live without purpose and meaning. And for me, when I lay out 100-year goal, I made videos on this of igniting 1 billion people and reverse engineer that into a 10-year goal, a chance to reach 1 billion people through technologies I create, videos I create, content I create, and then reverse engineer that into a 5-year goal and 1-year goal. What I could do today to make that happen is literally take up a phone, go live when I'm not even ready with any content. That's an actionable step that I took today, based on a 100-year goal, reverse engineer to a 10-year goal and 1-year goal. And the high level answer, to make it more clearer, is if you have a larger purpose than AR, larger purpose that can go 10 years, 100 years, that really excites you and very compelling to you, that to me is the single most effective way to keep you motivated, even even on the days when you're not motivated. That's the high level answer. Very, very important in my opinion, because if you don't do with those higher level intrinsic uh, motivating reasons, stuff like this, it's very easy to give up when you see it going nowhere or things taking longer than they should. It's very easy to give up. But this larger, grander meanings really energize you, at least from my perspective. On a more practical level, it's literally daily momentum. I think if you have like a way to build daily momentum and not lose touch of it, that's the best way. For me, it's the way I structure my day, right? Like I said, 5:30 to 6:30, energize, 6:30 to 7:30 to 8:30, 6:30 to 8:30, 2 hours. No matter what happens, I will spend those 2 hours on my side projects. Whether it's creating content for YouTube, coding up the remaining bits of the Apple AR course, coding up a project for that, video editing, whatever it is, even if it's a simple email or anything that would push my side projects at least one tiny bit, I would spend those first 2 hours on it. The key thing is, once that becomes a habit, psychologically, it will be hard to not do it. Because these days, when I don't do that, I feel very empty. I feel very dull. My day job suffers as well because I'm not that motivated there. So, momentum is so important. And for momentum to work, I believe from what I do is I structure my day accordingly. The first 2 hours, the most energized one, I dedicate to this. And the evenings, I dedicate to less intensive tasks, like say video editing or stuff like that. So I think structure is really, really important, because structure creates habits, and habits creates actually the actions that build momentum. That's how you build it step by step, small bit at a time, and thing. Actually, so those are the practices I use. And also, one of the practical note is Notion. I find using Notion really helps you keep track of this individual bits of work that you do that eventually build this entire system of products. So Notion for me has been very helpful in tracking this and stuff. So yeah, that's my answer. On a high level, getting a grand, larger purpose and goal, which really intrinsically motivates you. And on a lower level, on a more practical level, having structure to your day and building daily momentum. Hope that answers that question. Oh, I need to breathe. I get excited when I talk, and I talk fast, and I run out of breath. I need to breathe a bit. Okay. Oh, Yashraj, hi. Yashraj, I very, very much remember you. you you've messaged on Twitter, we've been in touch through the live, and you also signed up to my Apple AR course. Thank you. So, Yashraj, and you also gave great suggestions for the course. So, just want to point out that. Game development using Metal 3, they just announced that. Oh, yeah, I forgot that. Yes, yes. Metal 3, that's also the news. Thanks for bringing that up. Which language do you know? Programming and speaking. Oh, you mean like verbal? So, programming, I know, in terms of programming, the best one is Swift. That's my main competence. That's what I market myself as too. Swift is my strongest skill set. Then comes Android, no, sorry, Swift, and then there comes MATLAB, which I spent 4 years in my PhD for. And then comes Java, and then Kotlin lately, and Objective-C. But all the other four, and even, there are others too, like Jetpack Compose, that's a framework, C++ a little bit for my day job lately. I need to learn that. But I would say like I would disregard all of that and I would just say Swift as my core competence. So Swift, I really know the ins and outs because I spent so much time learning it. And what I noticed is when I went really deep with Swift and just focusing on that, learning the other four, like for my day job recently, I had to learn Objective-C to support legacy iOS code. I had to learn a bit of Kotlin and Jetpack Compose to build Android apps. I had to learn a bit of C++ to use the internal libraries that they built. So what I've noticed is because I've spent a year really focusing the ins and outs of Swift and focusing on the timeless fundamentals in programming, learning the others were pretty much easy, to be honest, because the concepts are very similar. Like closures in Swift, there's an equivalent in Kotlin. So yeah, it's very easy to transfer knowledge if you go deep in one and then go wide. So going deep in one for me, Swift, and then going wide really helped. And because the concepts are same, it's just the syntax and a few other bits you have to learn. So those are the programming languages I know. Speaking, English, Malayalam, which is my native language from Kerala. I'm from Kerala, from India. I can understand Hindi. I can't respond to you back in Hindi because I watched a lot of Bollywood movies. French, because I lived in Switzerland for 4 years, the French speaking part. So I know I can understand French again. I can speak a bit of broken French, enough to survive in the streets. And I also lived in Thailand for a bit. Sorry, for a long time, 7 years. But I don't know any Thai because we essentially hung out in an expat community. But I think I'm going into different topics here. But if that's what you meant, yeah, those are the languages I know. Yeah. To all who are interested in personal life, that was the new insight. I grew up in different countries. Saturday. Oh, speaking of side projects, I forgot to mention Saturday is a beautiful day, one of the most exciting days for me because Saturday is the full entire day I get to spend on side projects. I get to spend on this live stream. Before that, I was doing my Apple AR course. I was setting up my new MacBook to essentially speed up stuff up. And I just go to a cafe and just enjoy my time, fully immersed in the side projects. I love Saturdays. All your energy you could spend on this. Yeah. Do I have COVID? Because I have a bit of breathing difficulties. No, I don't think so. Anyways, so how long have we been going on for? It's been 39 minutes, okay. Thought I'll do a 1 hour live stream. So Sharm is asking, how do you get better at Swift programming? I would highly recommend taking a course. Like before Swift, I always used to learn stuff. Before Swift, I always used to learn stuff, bit by bit. When I meet problems, I would learn stuff necessary to solve it. Stuff, when you meet bugs and new features you want to add. But I found it very slow and ineffective. If you take a really good course and actually finish it, I think that's the best way to get started. And for Swift, one I would highly recommend is this course by Angela Yu. If you type in Udemy, you'll find her. It's called the Complete iOS Development Bootcamp, which is what I took and I completed myself. And it is I would recommend you to wait for the Udemy runs discounts. So they'll discount it for like 10 or 15 pounds probably. So you could buy that. But that's the course I would highly recommend. The Complete iOS Developer Bootcamp. If you take that course and complete it, trust me, you will know Swift. You will be comfortable enough to build your own ideas, and that's a great place to be. Then there are advanced topics in Swift, closures and generics and all that stuff. Those ones you could just build it up as you go along. Once you start building your own projects, and for me, when I started building my own apps with a view of putting it in the App Store, I I slowly had to think about efficiency, not just writing code that works, but also writing code that's easily maintainable and extensible. And for that, I started learning design patterns, different design patterns. I started learning how to write unit tests and all that. So all the other advanced stuff, it could come after you take a basic, good foundational course. If you just try to jump straight into the deep end, which is what I used to do, I find that's very slow and very ineffective. So that's what I would recommend. Take that course by Angela Yu. You can get it for dead cheap, especially when Udemy runs that fire discounts. Um, I do have an affiliate link for that, but I'm not going to share it because my goal is not to monetize here. I'm literally saying like, yeah, go take the other link and just benefit from it. Yeah, no problem, Sharm. Yash Raj, same routine. Yashraj dot. Oh, I thought it was Yashraj dot Jala. I was gonna ask like, what's your actual name? But this seems to be actual name. Same routine is going for me as my university is going to be offline. That's awesome news to be honest. University going offline, us going remote, jobs going remote. Great news for people who want to pursue side projects. Mainly because it saves commute time, it saves energy because you're working from home. You get more energy after and before work. And all in all, I feel like it's great for people who want to build stuff on the side. And speaking of routine, yeah, one of the saddest thing I see is people just getting stuck in a routine. And when I say people, I'm not meaning you, I'm saying like other people I've seen. They get stuck in a routine. They're kind of okay with that. They're not really excited by anything. They don't have any compelling reason to live. They're just going, day in, day out, same old thing, and super, super happy during the weekends. Oh my God, Friday came, now I get 2 days of free time. Wow. I feel that very, very depressing. I feel like every single day you should have something you're looking forward to. And eventually you need to get to a point where you have all the time to yourself, not just to Saturday and Sunday. Like today, I'm super excited because it's Saturday. I could invest all my time into projects I care about. But eventually, I want to get to a point where I could invest every single day into projects I care about. So yeah, routine. The word routine has been resonating in my head so much lately, especially when you start doing a job because it's so easy to, if you get a high paying job, it's so easy to get comfortable. You're happy with the job and you get money. You could buy stuff you want and all that, but eventually it has such a dullifying effect on you. Yeah, so I try to avoid routine as much as possible, partly through not upgrading my lifestyle and living in a little bit of discomfort, so I'll always keep a challenge. Blah blah blah. Oh my God, talking too much. Prince, you're saying congrats for the Mac. Thank you. I just made a video on my MacBook ritual or my Apple ritual, which you will see soon. And it's about what I do every time I buy a new product and why I buy it and what my intention with that is. So yeah, I bought this Mac to speed up my video editing and my content creation pipeline and to create better online courses. So yeah, that was fun. So how much time do we have left? We got, yeah, I think I'll stay for 10 more minutes and then we could call this the close. Anything else you guys want to bring up? You know what, actually, I saw lately from Ryan's tweet that you could actually, YouTube's going to bring out a feature soon. They are going to bring the feature where you could invite people in the chat into live videos. So you could actually turn up as videos. So I'm looking forward to that coming up in full release. So I could just not depend on this chat, but instead Sean, Prince, Yashraj, Eric, and all of you, you guys could come in a group call and we could talk and discuss and explore our dreams and side projects and all that stuff. It'll be so much fun. What can I do after completing Angela Yu's course? You can do my course for the AR stuff. That's the immediate answer I would give you. Yeah, but on a more honest level, I would say you could do, I mean, assuming it's the Apple AR journey you're talking about, after completing iOS dev course, you could, Angela Yu's course. Actually, I'll just tell you literally what I did. That's the best thing to do. After completing the iOS dev Angela Yu's course, I started building my own iOS apps. Not AR apps, just iOS apps. I built, so I'm sure you have ideas in your head, right? Just start building one of them. Build it like a small feature at a time, and eventually you'll build it up and make sure you finish it. By finish it, I mean not just the code, but go through the App Store submission process, make screenshots, make a sales copy, and learn about the taxing rules and all that you have to know before submitting to app stores. Just go through the entire app production pipeline, get one apps on the store, and by that point you will feel comfortable building ideas and creating value for others. And after you completed building your first app, iOS app, not AR apps, just iOS apps, and actually even in parallel, you could start learning the AR stuff. And for the AR stuff, when I did it, when there were no other courses available, I used like different YouTube channels. For YouTube channels, there were Ryan Kopinski's. There's also an Indian guy called Anand. He also had some good ARKit tutorials. And then I also used some Medium articles. So, different resources here and there. Just find your way through, build it feature by feature. That's how I learned my AR stuff. So you've done the iOS dev course, you start building your own app, you're learning AR through different set of resources. And the reason why I plug my course here in is obviously because I know the struggle that I went through where I had to connect all the dots and pieces. So that's why I'm building the complete Apple AR course, where it's an entire course just for the Apple AR bit. So you just need that and nothing else. But after you've done that, then there is the I actually made a video on this lately. If you check my last video, it's on that. There's the different thing I did, something I did very differently. I call it the profitable portfolio. So at this stage, you should be comfortable building out your own ideas. What you can do is take up client work on Upwork, and it's going to take a bit of time getting through the getting your first client. But once you land your first client, it becomes easier to land the next 2 or 3 clients. But the idea of the profitable portfolio is essentially to get others to pay you to build stuff for them. That way, you not only have a portfolio, but you have a portfolio where people have paid you to do and build that. For me, it was a startup in Denmark where I built the entire MVP for them, which is an AR app. And so that was a great thing in my portfolio, and they paid handsomely for that too. They paid around, I think, in total for I think more than £6,000 for that. Yeah. So yeah, so there's this profitable portfolio stage where you can not only earn with your skills, but also create a portfolio and eventually use all that to get your software engineering job, which could be a high paying one because of all the previous stuff you did. Also, one other thing I would highly emphasize and encourage you to do also is to create some form of content documenting your journey, whether it's tutorials or higher level videos, whatever it is, some kind of online exposure. Again, whether it's Twitter, articles, or videos, whatever it is, some kind of content that lives outside of you. This has been trust me, this has been so valuable to me. This YouTube channel, it helped me find clients for my freelance, convince them that I know what I'm doing. It helped me get a job. It's working day in and day out for me. It's helped me find leads, find people for my courses I'm building. So YouTube channel, I just cannot emphasize enough like how important it has been for me. It is really useful to create content. And it doesn't have to be YouTube, it can be Twitter too. And I can't. I'm like dying to tell you of a news, but I just can't because of some. It's not materialized yet and stuff yet. But suffice to say, all I can say is a big. No, I can't say it. I can't say it because I don't want to risk. I don't want to risk anything, given that there were NDAs and all that involved. So yeah, but I'm just saying a YouTube is very very useful. Creating content that lives outside of you. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just taking a break. I just need to breathe and make sure I'm not. Right. So Eric is saying my plan is to take Angela's course to learn iOS and Swift after I learn C++, Unreal. My plan is to take Angela's course to learn iOS and Swift after I learn C++, Unreal. My thought process is that it will be good to have skills in cross-platform AR, VR, and native development with Apple. Okay, so if I understand you correctly, the route you're going is learn cross-platform first, and that way you have exposure to like a wider amount of devices, and then go native to essentially like specialize in one of them. If I understand correctly, that's where you're going. And yeah, I like that idea. That's the like if you're going cross-platform, obviously you're targeting these like immersive gaming kind of and multi-user experiences, and that works. That absolutely works. No, nothing against that. The only thing I would say, the only thing I would suggest is not to focus on both at the same time. Assuming you're a beginner programmer, I don't know if you have been programming for decades, then yeah, obviously this would be easy for you. But if you're just starting out in your journey, I would encourage you to more focus on either one, like either the cross-platform or the native, and just go deep on that for a very long time before you start expanding and going wide. Or else you'll just dilute focus, you won't have enough time, and you'll just, it's a much less efficient route. So, assuming you are starting out on your journey, I would encourage you to just stick with one, whether it's iOS and Swift or C++ Unreal, either one. In fact, my flatmate, one of them, he's actually learning Unreal and C++, not for AR VR, but for a game company. He's thinking of creating. Yep. Yeah, so that would be my suggestion. C++ is must to build game. Yep. Especially high-end games with Unreal and stuff where you really want to get close to the metal and really make use of the hardware efficiently. But also Unity and C# is also a great option if you're not making, say, a AAA game or just want to make a casual game or stuff. I would argue that Unity and C# would be a much easier and quicker option. Unreal and C++, from my knowledge, is what people use especially for AAA game studios and when you really want like high performance and high graphics and all that. Indie developers tend to use Unity and C# mostly. No problem, Eric. So we got 7 more minutes left. Like my... Do you guys want to see? I've got an Apple chair. Can you see that? Oh, it's not clear. It's basically a white chair. It's just a white chair, and I call it the Apple chair. I'm going to turn my room into an Apple room eventually. MacBooks, the Apple glasses, the Apple chair. So I'm wearing white Apple shirts. Anything else? Hope your weekends are going well and you're having fun. My plan after this is I'm gonna go out, get some start my weekend actually after Saturday. Well, if there's, I think when we can close it now. I think the chat has ended more or less. So yeah, it was fun as usual. It was good to see people I usually see, like Yashraj and Prince and Link's Productive. Good to see you guys, and it was good to see everyone new. I'm not sure if you guys are new to the channel or just new to this live stream, but Eric, it was a pleasure to talk to you. It was fun to have you here. Your insightful questions, Charm, and there's also Philip. Yes, I remember Philip. It's fun to have you guys here. So last question: how do you eat? Do you make it yourself? Why don't I make a video on that? And funny if that would be the video that takes this YouTube channel to the heights that I wanted. I make a video on what I eat and it goes like 1 million views and boom, all the AR stuff becomes irrelevant. Yeah, I just make it myself mostly. I have a pressure cooker, put everything in there, boom, cooked, done, eat. And when I've got nothing to eat, I use my Just Eat takeaway app, you know, kind of stuff. Very lazy eater. I don't really care about eating, just enough to fuel energy. Yeah, that's the answer to that, Josh Rush. Anywho's, good luck. Hope to keep in touch again, Yash Raj and everyone else. Eric, Prince, Charm, everyone, thank you for joining the live stream. And I'm going to sign off now and start my weekend. Take care, guys. Happy Apple AR journey. Bye-bye. Yep. How do I cancel this?